This conference will now be recorded.
Leadership report. The executive leadership team met on September 29th. We discussed the financials. We also talked about nominations. And we are looking for you as a group to nominate someone to the board who has, there's some commitment to serve, but as a group, you all have the ability to nominate one person. And so we would like for you to kind of think about that. You can maybe give us some nominations today, or if someone is willing to serve in that capacity, if you could let us know, that would be great. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Lizanne, and I think we'll get into the presentations.
I have one more piece of business, and that is the review of the August 2020 meeting notes. If you have any corrections for that, I'll give you everyone. We sent them out. I sent them out earlier with the information this week, and they were they're pretty complete. Does anyone have any corrections to that? Paula's given me a thumbs up, and she is the one who always is so gracious to read them thoroughly, and if there's something to be found, Paula usually finds it. So hearing none. Okay, great, thank you. We have three really awesome presenters, actually four, because Paula and Nichelle will tag team. But I'm gonna ask you to maybe make sure you're muted, and we're gonna ask our first presenter to begin, and that's Jackie Jackson from the Metropolitan Planning Commission. She's gonna be talking about the 2040 plan and how we can all help them in their process. So take it away, Jackie.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm requesting to share. Give me 1 second. All right, can you see my screen with PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure because it takes up 2 of my screens, so I want to make sure you guys can see everything. All right, well, good morning, everybody. I appreciate you guys coming so early. 8:30 is an early day for some of us. As Lizanne mentioned, I am Jackie Jackson with the Metropolitan Planning Commission, and we are the official planning agency for the city of Savannah and unincorporated Chatham County. And what I'm going to be talking about today is a pretty major project for us here at the Metropolitan Planning Commission. And we are, for the first time in a number of years, pulling in the city of Garden City as well as the city of Pooler. So this is getting us back to where we should be really for a planning agency when we look at planning with regards to more of a regional basis versus individual silos. So the project that we are currently working on is the comprehensive plan update. And to answer that question, as you can see here, what is a comprehensive plan? It really is that vision for the future. This specific plan we're calling Plan 2040 and tagging it Advancing Together and Redefining Tomorrow. And this plan is an update for us. And it is meant to look out over the next 10 to 20 years for these 4 jurisdictions that I mentioned: Garden City, Pooler, Savannah, and unincorporated Chatham County as a whole. So the special thing about the comprehensive plan is a couple things, actually. It defines a number of areas that really are very important to this group here. The Community Indicators Group. It is a required process through the state of Georgia under the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. And under that requirement, every local government must prepare, adopt, and maintain and implement an approved comprehensive plan. And where this becomes very, very important for local governments is the financials, the funding piece of it. To go through this process is important because it basically helps that local government maintain what's called a qualified local government status. And when that is maintained, they're then allowed to tap into funds such as CDBG or water and sewer loans, coastal incentive grants, those type of things. And that really becomes very fundamental for a local community to look at capital projects and smaller projects as a whole. So not only is it required at the state level, but again, it becomes a funding source or a capability for a funding source down the line. And again, as it's stated up here, it really is meant to be that guide for that future, for that community, excuse me. So the MPC, this is not anything new for us. We've been at the helm of local planning and comprehensive planning updates really since the 1980s. And for a long time, there was an umbrella plan, if you will, and then all the local governments fell underneath that. And we got away from that for a little while, but now we see that it really makes sense for us to pull all of our local governments back together when we talk about planning and really look at it on a regional basis, honestly. So the last full update for all these comp plans for the jurisdiction was just in 2016 with partial updates in 2008. So a lot's happened over the past 4 or 5 years. So we're going to be pulling some of that information and that data together for this comprehensive plan. As I mentioned, it really allows us to look forward to our future. And this is where it becomes very important. One of the key facets of the comprehensive plan is that it absolutely must involve the community. We must get community input and feedback from our stakeholders, our residents, our elected officials, all of the above, basically, business, commercial, you name it. And that's where it becomes something very different from other plans that are out there and strategic plans and whatnot. It really becomes a voice of the community. So what that also allows is that as these local governments are going through their day-to-day planning efforts and looking at actions for that community, it gives them a resource to track the implementation of these major projects that they want to see get accomplished, come to fruition for that community. So it creates a level of predictability for local government, and the community as a whole can track that process, which again is very important to have that transparency in a local government. So as you can see up here, there is a table, and what it lists is there's specific plan elements that are required if you're triggered, under certain criteria. Well, luckily for us, Chatham County basically is triggered under all the requirements. So it allows us to look at, again, these 4 jurisdictions with a higher level, and we're going to be looking at everything that you can kind of see here. Community goals, we're going to look at our needs and opportunities. We'll have a short-term work program, which if you're familiar with that, it is those specific projects, those capital projects, and those type of larger efforts that allows a community to check these projects off, as coming to fruition and being accomplished. We'll be looking at economic development, land use and zoning, transportation, of course, is key, and then housing as well. So these, again, are the state requirements. What NPC and these other are the 4 jurisdictions are really intending to do, however, is to go beyond that, if you will. So we're tapping into, again, this is where coastal indicators comes into play, a quality of life component. We really want to take it one step further and use the great data and work and team effort that this group that you are here today talking about, and look at community health and education, public safety, and then we're even going beyond that and looking at historic and cultural resources and natural resources. And if you can see this, there is an extra component that we're pulling into the quality of life as well that has never really been addressed before, but is so important, especially right now in times of COVID, and that's broadband. The state of Georgia has recognized that internet is so crucial to every level, every component of, development and sustainability for a local community. When you talk about education, when you talk about economic development and transportation, even housing, broadband is key for that. So for the first time, we're going to be looking at where does Chatham County and the jurisdictions within Chatham County lie with regards to capabilities and access to broadband and Wi-Fi, basically. So a quick timeline, there's a lot that we're going to be doing to put it in short and succinct, but our actual deadline for this entire project is October 31st of 2021. It's a lot to do in a year, however, and under state requirements, there are a lot of public meetings that must happen. There has to be a lot of opportunity for feedback, as I mentioned. So we've got a pretty rigorous timeline laid out here over the next number of months in 2020 and then into 2021, as you can see. But there's a back and forth process that must happen at the state level as well to get their input and feedback as well on the plan. So all of that is encompassed in this deadline of October of next year. So the big question is kind of, okay, what's the next step? Our next step here at the MPC is really this community input piece, if you will. We will be rolling out a community survey. Yes, another survey in times of COVID, but this one's going to be so important. Again, this is going to be an update for our local community. So this survey will really ask those questions that, are so important to where we want to be and where we want to go. And we'll be looking at discussions on climate change and sea level rise, which is, of course, highly important, food sources, food deserts, education, and as I mentioned, public safety and others as well. So I've got the information up here about how you can stay informed. We have a handle at Plan 2040, and you'll see us on social media. So please like us on social media. We have a dedicated website, mpc.compplan2040.org. And then we have a dedicated email address as well, plan2040@thempc.org. And even going beyond that, we have a dedicated feedback line where anyone can call and leave comments or considerations, suggestions, you name it. Something else that I failed to mention as well that we will be incorporating into this effort is a comment map. So what we have is basically a map of the county, and it's a live interactive map where respondents can go on this map and click on a location and offer suggestions or talk about issues or something like that that they might be concerned with, and we'll be incorporating all that information as well. So all that to say, we have a lot of different ways to really engage the community. And that's why this is so important. And we really want to blast this out. We're doing some branding, as you can see here, to really make it stand out from the others, get people to kind of notice what this process is. So these are images from some of our social media posts that you'll see coming out as well. Just again, to get people's attention and let them know that this is something we really honestly need their input on. So as I mentioned, you'll see more, again, some more images of our social media posts and those type things. But again, what we're really calling for today is one, for you to help us get the message out that this is going on. But additionally, I'm making a call for information and data and plans. If the players around the table today in this discussion have crucial information that you want to ensure gets into documents such as these for our city council and county commission, we need to get that information. We need to know what your larger plans and strategies are. We're reaching out to CETA and the school board and city councils, of course, and county commission, and some of these larger players, but I need you to help give me that information to ensure we've got that crucial data into our plan as well. So With that, it was hopefully not too long, but I've got my information up here on how you can reach me. And of course, we can definitely forward this information out to you as well. But with that being said, again, I'm calling for information and input. And I really want to hear what you guys have to say for the community of Chatham County. And that is it.
Thank you, Jackie. Could we share this presentation with the group when we send out?
Absolutely. Yes, I would love that.
Does anyone have a question for Jackie? If you do, please unmute yourself. Okay, and then if hearing none, Jackie, is there just any last comments about how we can help you? I know that connecting with you, getting you the information, are there specific groups that you want to meet with to get information? If we could use the priority teams for that, we can certainly carve out some minutes within a meeting to be able to do that. So just call on us as needed.
Absolutely. Yes, that would be great. I'm speaking with, the individual like quality of life component or committees and economic development and public safety and that type of thing. But yes, and any opportunity that if you may want me to come and make that short presentation to a group to get, feedback and that type of thing would be great as well. Sure.
Thank you. Okay. I think we're moving along to hear about the new Discovery Center that Junior Achievement is launching. So we'll be sharing the screen for Robert Grant.
All right, good morning. Lizanne, can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you.
Okay, just waiting. Okay, I think there's a little bit of a lag here. It's trying to pull up my screen. So good morning, everybody. First of all, big thank you to Lizanne for allowing me this opportunity. CGIC is such a great group, and Lizanne, thank you for all the work you've done through the pandemic to get all the information out that you have over the last couple months, and it's just really valuable what the work that you're doing. So big shout out to you. I see a lot of friendly faces on here. So this is a great group. Interesting story. On my first day or first week on the job, I was talking to one of my board members, and I was asking them for some advice. And they said, make sure you get involved with the CGIC. So that has paid off handsomely. So just really appreciate all that, again, that you, Lizanne, appreciate you. And a shout out to Rachel this morning for getting on early to help me out with my presentation. So Liz, are you seeing my screen now? I think it's up. Okay, so a little bit about Junior Achievement. I hope that most of you have heard of us. We are 100 years old, turned 100 last year. We are in over 100 countries around the globe and serve over 5 million students around the globe each year. The core of what we do is financial literacy. Something you may have heard of a lot out in the news. Entrepreneurship, financial literacy are things that a lot of people feel like we're not doing enough of, and Junior Achievement thought that 100 years ago, and we are still at it. I specifically work for JA of Georgia, which is headquartered in Atlanta in the World Congress Center. And our core programs are two programs that we have just over the years have really perfected. And one of them is in 6th grade called JA BizTown. And another one is called JA Finance Park, which is mostly for 7th graders. And then another program we do that we're really, really excited about is called 3DE. And that stands for 3-dimensional education, which is a program that's about 7 years old, and that we already have going in Savannah High School, and it's been there for it's starting its 2nd year now. do a whole other presentation just on 3DE, but today we're going to talk about discovery centers. And I hope that some of you may have had an opportunity to actually go inside of one of our discovery centers. We have 3 in the Atlanta area. There's one at the World Congress Center, right down the street from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If you guys have been there, it's kind of up on the same level, but it is our flagship and our headquarters there. There's another one in Gwinnett. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the one in downtown was sponsored by the Chick-fil-A Foundation, completely paid for the entire program. And then the one in Gwinnett, attached to the Discovery High School in Gwinnett, was the second one. And then the third one was built in Cumming, Georgia, which is the one that you're actually looking at on your screen. And so we have this really, really cool virtual walkthrough that I'm going to try to walk you around, because really, once you see it and I can kind of talk you through the programs, I hope you'll have a better understanding of why it's so important to have this in Savannah. And so, again, myself, I've been with JA here in Savannah for 4 years. I've lived here for, gosh, almost 19 years now, and with a background in education. And so when I came on board at JA, it was kind of a natural fit to be in the development side of this program. And so this is something we've actually been talking about for a long, long time. Actually, talking to one of my board members yesterday, Edwin Bick, who's been on our board since 1995, he said, so before I got there, and he was saying, you know, this is something that we've been talking about for a long, long time, and he was really happy to see this kind of come to fruition. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try this out. I hope it's not too clunky, but I'm going to walk you around this virtual tour and kind of talk you through it as I'm walking around, quote unquote, inside of this Discovery Center. So let's see what happens here if it'll start moving. So the only thing that we ask of schools is that they do the work ahead of time to be ready for the students to come to the schools, to the Discovery Center. And so this is at no cost to the schools. All we're asking of the school systems is to pay for the transportation, cover the transportation cost to get the students there. Okay, it looks like it's running a little glitchy, so I'm gonna go kind of slow, but and we'll do the best we can with this. Students come in 6th grade, and they do this program called BizTown, and it is actually where students will come into this space and they will learn how to run a business for a day. So as you'll see, there's 18 different storefronts inside of this space, and we're standing in the middle of it. And this one is modeled to look like Lake Lanier, which is up in Forsyth County. So it's made to look like North Georgia. You can see the mountains up in the back. You see the lake in the concrete. There's actually little fish benches around there, and so it's really kind of a fun space. And there's 18 storefronts inside here, and they all represent some sort of different industry. So you see Georgia Power would be utilities. There's Delta for transportation. One of my favorite pieces, if you look over here to the right, is philanthropy. We believe that we would like to instill in students at an early age that no matter how much money they're making, they can always give back to support their community. And as you can see, we have Georgia State University over here on the left, racetrack. And so you're going to see a bunch of names I hope that you'll recognize. But there's a reason for that. And so when the students come in 6th grade and they do JA BizTown, they actually become the CFO, the CEO, and the Chief Marketing Officer for one of these companies. And they work in groups and they try to create a company, and they go into these storefronts and they actually have a product that they have to deliver. So just for fun, like here's Publix. Publix will have some sort of little widget or something that we can give away to students. That this actually becomes an economy. And one of them, like Chick-fil-A, does a little Chick-fil-A cow, and so students have to figure out how to market their company to everybody else. And so in this, as a brief, and we could talk for hours about how all of this works, but as try to keep this brief. essentially in 6th grade, they're doing BizTown, and they're learning how to create a business, how to make money. And then like for lunch, they go to the Zaxby's. There's actually students who are working at Zaxby's, and they get lunch and they get to come out here and eat. So basically, it's all about, the free market economy and entrepreneurship. And of course, this is workforce development piece. If you really think about this, how brilliant is it for Publix to have a storefront like this in all of our discovery centers now around Georgia, so that students kind of get the idea that, oh wow, I could go and work for Publix. It seems like a great company. So this is some workforce development as well. So then they come back again in 7th grade. In 7th grade, they do a program called JA Finance Park. In JA Finance Park, now they are an individual, and this is a very technology-heavy program. Students walk in, that each of them will have an iPad, and say, for instance, it'll say your name, and so it'll say Paula Chrysler, and she's the president of a nonprofit, and she's making X amount a year. And then there's Liz Ann Roberts, and she's the president of a nonprofit. So it has you have your job title, and it may say something like, you have 2 kids, or there's all kind of life simulations that happen along the way. So your job when you come in 7th grade is to balance your budget. So now you have to go to each of these 18 storefronts and make choices about what you do. So a great example here is, well, let's use, so one of the categories is entertainment. And so you go over to Delta, and of course the student's going to pick the most extravagant trip, going to, I don't know, Australia or something, some exotic trip. And then, so they'll put that into their budget and they'll get charged for it. And then they come over to Publix, and they may only have 50 cents left to buy groceries for their family. And so it's all about choices. It's instilling in the students about how to balance a budget and what's important. And then of course, there's Georgia Power. So you may pay for that expensive trip, but do you have, money to pay your power bill? And so this is just instilling in them this financial literacy piece that we feel is so important. One of the things too is very heavy. We partner with local universities to talk about education. So let's say I want to be like Paula Chrysler, and I want to be the president of a nonprofit. Well, how could I do that? Well, I could go to Georgia State University and get a degree in business management, or or in nonprofit management, and then that could be my step up. And so it's kind of instilling how do you make yourself more valuable as an employee with either education or new skills. So this is just a cool little walk around of what it looks like, and you can see there's a few other names I hope you might recognize. Georgia United Credit Union has been a big sponsor, and they have actually already pledged to be in our Savannah location. All right, so that brings me to let's talk about Savannah. So now you've seen one. You just got a up close and personal tour of one of our discovery centers. This is what it looks like. You know a little bit about the program that goes on inside. And so now let me tell you the story about how we got to having one here in Savannah. And by the way, it's forthcoming. I hope, let's see, this will pull up. This is a Google map of the Armstrong campus of Georgia Southern. And so about 3 years ago, in earnest, we started looking for a space to put this Discovery Center. How are we going to put this in Savannah? We talked to literally everyone about where this was going to go. And this would be a great story about using your network on trying to find something to make it happen. A huge shout out to Paula and to Liz Ann, who were both at the beginning of this and were very helpful in helping us out. I saw that Clyde Newton was on the call earlier. Clyde was involved when we were talking to the school system. I mean, we looked at everything. We looked from Savannah Mall to a place on one of the school system grounds, everywhere. well, then one day we went and we introduced ourselves to Kyle Marrero at Georgia Southern. And if you guys haven't had the opportunity to meet him, he is phenomenal. He's one of these people who I feel like he's always about 10 steps ahead of me anytime we're in a conversation, because he's just brilliant. And when we told him, you know, we want to build a place that we're going to bring 100 to 150 middle schoolers from around the region. By the way, this is not just for Savannah students. Our hope is, and this is the way we serve other folks in the rest of the state, is that we would have Chatham County schools, Effingham County, Bullock, Bryan, Liberty, McIntosh. As far away as people are interested in coming to the Discovery Center, we will welcome them with open arms. And so when he heard that, and we said, this is what we're trying to do, we're trying to bring students to Savannah to come and do this program, and they're going to learn about financial literacy and entrepreneurship and workforce development. He says, I want that on my campus. So we were just kind of stunned. We were like, really? And if you really start thinking about this, it makes total sense. And it just so happens that he had a space available on his campus. And so this is, here's Science Drive over here, and here's Arts Drive over here. There's a building back on the back side of the campus. It is this building right here. Can y'all see my mouse cursor moving if I circle with my, okay. So this is the Armstrong Student Rec Center. And it was actually part of a project that they already had on their books. They were moving everything from the current rec center over to the sports center. If any of you guys are familiar with the campus, that's where the big basketball arena is. And so they now have everything under one roof for all of their student rec center. And you may not be able to see that, but on the back side of this building, it doesn't really show it well on maps, but there's actually a great entrance area for buses. And this will actually be the main entrance into our Discovery Center. Okay, so let me switch gears here. And so let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so hopefully you can see now, we have some artist renderings of what the inside of our space will look like. And by the way, right now, if you walked into the space, it would be empty gym, and it's 25,000 square feet of emptiness, which is perfect. It's exactly what we needed. We have gone through the process of getting a bid from a contractor. Balfour Beatty was the winner of our contract, and it's a $3.77 million project. And I'm very, very happy to announce that we had the lead gift offered to us, pledged to us last week. Rob Demery from Colonial Oil pledged the lead gift of $2 million for this campaign, which is huge, 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 huge. So this will actually be the Junior Achievement Colonial Group Discovery Center. Will be the official name of this project. So of this building. So this is kind of an artist rendering. This is what students will walk into. You'll see a very familiar very familiar looks around Savannah. That of course is the mansion of Forsyth Park. This is the where the amphitheater is in Forsyth Park. So it'll be very Savannah centered, as you know, just like I showed you earlier. The one from Lake Lanier looked very much like Lake Lanier. So this one's going to look very much like Savannah. Here is a blueprint. Again, students will come in this back door, or in the main entrance back here. We will have a boardroom, a classroom, a staff area. This is something that we want the community to use. We want Paula Chrysler to come here and do a class. We want Liz Ann Roberts to come and hold a board meeting here. We want the school system to come and use this as an opportunity for PLCs or whatever would be available for folks. So this is just a great little blueprint. As you can see, there are the 18 storefronts that go around. So that'll be my job over the next couple of weeks and months, is to secure those storefronts. I'm happy to announce that Georgia United Credit Union has already come on board. I'm also happy to announce that Publix has already agreed to be one of them. And for those of you guys that are my nonprofit friends, you guys are probably asking yourself the question, well, how do you pay for this? Obviously we have to raise the 3.7 million, which is forthcoming. But then this is the operating expense. So that 3.7 is the capital. That's what gets us to the open doors. And then the renewals of these storefronts are is what will cover the operating expenses over the long term. Also, another storefront that will be in here is Inmark. Obviously, with the gift from Colonial, Inmark will be our dedicated. I don't know if you remember seeing in the last one there was Racetrack, and here the gas station will definitely be Inmark. Also, there will be obviously a Georgia Southern University storefront. And this, guys, is something that was really, really cool that we're very excited to announce too, is with this partnership with Georgia Southern, Kyle Marrero was so big-brained about this, is that we're also going to create a endowment fund for Georgia Southern students to be interns inside the Discovery Center, up to about 10 a day, because we need about 15 to 20 volunteers a day to run the simulation. And what a great opportunity for a Georgia Southern student to actually go spend the day working in this environment, especially if you're an education student. You're getting hands-on a learning opportunity as a freshman, which it doesn't usually happen. They can put this on their resume. It's ink on their resume. It's a great internship for a student, and also actually get paid for it, which is really cool. We can't say they get paid, but they receive a stipend. Let's put it that way. And so again, part of that great. I really think, y'all, that this is going to be the model of Discovery Centers around the United States. We will be the new example, because we've never done this before on a college campus like this, and it so far has just made sense at every step of the way with this partnership with Georgia Southern. So there again is a look at it. There's a big screen that comes down here. We can, we'll do like a little hype video for the students. There's opportunities for, if people wanted to come and have a lunch or a reception on a day that we were closed down. I know that the university is very excited about us using it for evening, a cocktail reception or a dinner or something if you wanted to host some folks there. And then I want to speed through. So this is a quick look at some of the places where our architect got some of the inspiration. You'll see, there's the Wormslow and, the art museum and theater. And I'm going to skip through these just to show you the kind of the renderings of what the inside will actually look like. So this would be standing actually inside the square. Just a few of the renderings. Another interesting part about being on the Georgia Southern campus is Dr. Marrero is very interested in maybe starting a high school program there, especially for students that are about to go to Georgia Southern. He's seen a big need with students who are going to college now, and they are being approved for a school loan maybe of, or they only need $10,000 for a school loan for the year, but they're being approved for 30. And so what does an 18-year-old do? Well, he takes the 30, and there's a big problem with retention because of financial issues. And so we want to use it maybe as a tool. So really the sky's the limit for what we're going to do here in Savannah with these programs, because I think we can really start to integrate some more of this high school piece. And I think that will actually really help us out. This is a quick map of Georgia. So this is where our Chick-fil-A Discovery Center is, the Gwinnett Discovery Center, the Mike and Lincoln Trail Discovery Center. And we're happy to announce too that right now, as of 2 weeks ago, the Discovery Center of Greater Dalton, in a partnership with Dalton Public Schools, actually just got dried in last week. It is being built as we speak on Dalton's brand new K-8 school that they're building, and it will actually open its doors in March. So this growth pattern, as you can see, Savannah is next. I'm a little mad that Dalton beat us, but that's okay. We're still here. We're going. But you can see that we have this growth plan, that there's maybe a South Metro, a Northwest Metro. Y'all, if this comes to fruition over the next couple of years, we will be serving 90% of all middle schoolers in the state of Georgia. So that is a huge, just something that we're very, very proud of, that to give this opportunity to that many students in the state of Georgia. And so this is going to show you a little bit about our impact here. Again, this could go up from here. This is just kind of what we see as kind of our first year. We plan to serve 15,000 students out of this Discovery Center, with at least 7 school systems, and that includes homeschool, private school, public schools, and maybe even we've already had some initial conversations with some of the Jasper and Beaufort County schools about maybe their involvement. So what we try to say is any school within about an hour radius, it makes sense. So that gives them plenty of time to have the travel time there and back and be able to do the entire simulation in the day. We'll have about 2,500 volunteers over the year, 20 corporate partners. That's all of your storefronts, and we will be hiring at least 5 new employees for junior achievement here. So if you're interested in coming to work into the Discovery Center, let me know. And then here is our timeline. We are right now in our campaign phase of raising the $3.77 million. If all goes well, we should be able to start construction in February. A lot of you guys may know that we do our big Hall of Fame event every November. It's our black tie event with the Savannah Business Hall of Fame. We are not doing it this year, obviously. It's not the year to do a black tie gala. And we are instead going to do an outdoor groundbreaking ceremony in February. There'll be some more news and some info going out about that in the next month or two. And then it'll take about we would hope to open the doors October, November of 21, so that we could actually start getting students in November of next year. So a lot of work on our end has been done, but as they say, now the real work begins, because we've got this lead gift. We still have to raise another $1.7 million to get started on construction. And again, this is just another look at some of the spaces that are available and opportunities that we have. So over the next couple of weeks, I will be presenting to First District RESA. Some of you guys are familiar with RESA. It's the Regional Educational Support. So I'll be having the opportunity to speak to all of the superintendents from First District RESA, and I think it's next month, and to go ahead and start getting the school systems signed on. Dr. Levette and Dr. Yancey Ford from Effingham have been, behind this project all along. And so anyway, we're really, really excited about this. We really think this is going to be the game changer for financial literacy, K-12 education. And we really think it's going to be answering a lot of the issues that we have with financial literacy and the lack of that with our students. So I keep saying to people, the one thing that we've learned from the COVID crisis is that financial literacy has never been more important. For the folks that weren't able to, get through, the loss of one paycheck, per se, we really feel like it's just as important as ever, if not more than ever. And so this is a little bit about the Discovery Center. I would love to share this information with Lizanne. We have all of this information available. Most of the people who know JA and have been around with us for a long time are crazy excited about this project. And again, would love to share more information with you. And at this point, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Robert? So Robert, we're getting a lot of positive comments and interest in the chat feature that you're seeing. Any questions for Robert?
I apologize if I missed this, Robert. When will the Discovery Center open?
Great question. Thank you. We will start construction in February, and our hope would be, again, you never know with construction, but the hope would be to open the doors by November of 21. Maybe it would go into December, but hopefully, my hope is really October. But we're telling people that would be November of 21.
Dr. Telfair, I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, and good morning to everyone. So, Mr. Grant, I just have a question. So, for the Savannah area as well as the others, how do you factor in or address health professions as part of your entrepreneur and education efforts?
That's a great question. So healthcare is one of our big storefronts. I don't know if you got to see it in that in the virtual walkthrough, but we have a hospital represented in each of our discovery centers as a major part of the simulation. So students would come in and they'd be, a CFO of a hospital. And so they have to, work in a hospital, quote unquote, for the day when they are in doing the BizTown section. So yes, the healthcare professionals are definitely in there. And then it's also a big part of, I don't want to name names because I know we have two rival hospitals, but if XYZ Hospital of Savannah, it would say, that would be definitely one of your jobs for the day. It would talk about we have a little career center set up that talks about what are some of the career opportunities that are available within each of those categories and those storefronts. So for instance, let's say XYZ Hospital was willing to be one of our storefront sponsors. They would have the opportunity to kind of showcase what kind of professions are available because every company that really understands what we're doing, they get on board. That's what they know. They know this is workforce development for them. You want a student in 6th and 7th grade thinking about, oh wow, there's all these really cool jobs in a hospital that aren't just being a doctor or a nurse. And so there's all these really, really amazing positions that are available. And that's what we want people to be using their storefronts for, is to have this as an opportunity for workforce development.
Yeah. So just to follow up to that question. So one of the critical bits to this particular section is majority of the person's work in community settings, community-based settings. And I understand the hospital being a primary representative from where you sit into entrepreneurially. However, in terms of the types of opportunities in this section, particularly in this region, majority of them are based outside of hospital settings, and the hospitals are part of partnering with those, and they can speak for themselves on that. However, that's what I was asking actually, was the breadth of representation for opportunities, which the majority of the opportunities would actually be represented outside of a hospital setting. And I think pretty much the two persons you've worked with, Ms. Chrysler and Ms. Roberts, will be able to hopefully verify that. However, since you're going to be on the Georgia Southern campus, I'm just letting you know public health is expected to be involved.
I would love that. That's great. And I would love to talk to you offline too, to figure out how we could get you on board. I posted my my email address in the chat. Feel free to reach out. Being on this college campus is just a huge opportunity, and I think we've only scratched the surface in what's available. Especially with having the College of Health right next door to us. I think there'd be a brilliant way to tie that in, and would love to talk to you more about that.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from Jennifer Messner. She said, will the center only be accessed through schools, or can other youth serving organizations bring groups?
That's an excellent question. We have done that in the past. I will tell you that the simulation works best when we can have at least 100 students participate at a time. When you have 18 storefronts, we've found that if you get real far below 100 students, it gets pretty difficult. But yes, if there were some sort of group that would be willing to do the work up front, which it's kind of classroom based with a workbook. Again, it's all free. If they were willing to do the work and they could have the number to make the simulation work, we would absolutely be willing to talk to them. and make it happen. We've done in Atlanta several summer programs with different local groups. And then of course we've done homeschool groups as well. So yeah, we're willing to have the conversation as long as the people are willing to do the work and to get everybody there and showed up and prepared and be there on time. But again, it really only works if you have about 100 students. So I have a lot of people ask me like, hey, can I just come by and bring my kids because they need some financial literacy? It doesn't quite work just like that. We have to, in order for the simulation to really work, we have to have the prep work done ahead of time and have a certain number of students.
I would like to say something.
Any other questions?
Liz Ann, I do have a question for Robert. I want to say, first of all, this is a great opportunity and resource for our community. I'm really looking forward to it. I had a question because you mentioned about interns from Georgia Southern. I know that Savannah State does have a business department as well. And I was wondering if you think that might be an opportunity to have interns from both universities to participate.
Absolutely, and fantastic question. You know, when we were kind of driving towards those things, we've actually had had several meetings with Savannah State. I guess it was last year, and then of course with the new leadership there, we are very excited to go out there and talk to them. And by the way, just so you know, Kyle Marrero, president of Georgia Southern, was 110% behind getting Savannah State students, Savannah Tech students. You know, what other students would be willing to get involved. This was just kind of, like I said, we're just kind of scratching the surface here. So if there's a way to just spread the word and to get over there and talk to the Savannah State students, we would love that opportunity. It'd be a great tie-in. I see a couple of questions in the chat. Somebody said if there's 100 adults, you know, I don't know. We've never tried that, but you know, maybe there's an opportunity there. So I'd love to talk to Kimberly on that one. How long will students have to access? Okay, so yes, it says how long will students have to access to this? So they will come once in 6th grade, once in 7th grade, and then depending on what county they're in, they may come again in high school. And then so to me, like the big goal would be is a student who has done our high school leader program in like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and then they've come to the Discovery Center in 5th and 6th grade. And then maybe they go to Savannah High and they're one of our 3-to-E students at Savannah High. And then they go to Savannah State or to Georgia Southern, and then they come back as an intern. That would be the coolest story ever. It's gonna take us a few years to get there. But my hope is that they would have several touch points along their K-12 career here.
Okay, any other questions before we move along? If not, we thank you so much. We thank you so much, Robert, for taking time to do this presentation for us this morning, and we look forward to working with you. So,
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. We're going to move along, and Paula and Nichelle are going to give us some information about a new grant that is very timely. So take it away.
All right, well, good morning, and it's great to be here. And I will just say, Jackie and Robert, just great presentations. This is all critical to the work that we're all doing here in our community, and I'm so excited to see the movement in both spaces. And just like Dr. Telfair said, Robert, you know that we want to see that upstream health promotion working and policy systems, environmental change in the big picture be engaged in the Discovery Center. So we've talked about that, so we will make it happen, I'm confident. With that, I just want to, while Jackie and Robert have been working on their spaces for a long time, Robert said 3 years, Jackie, I have no idea how long you've been working on the Plan 2040, but with the logo and everything, but this opportunity that Nichelle and I are going to talk to you about today was presented to us in mid-August and was a non-competitive application for some flu prevention dollars through the grant that Healthy Savannah and the YMCA of Coastal Georgia have together with the CDC, called Racial and Ethnic Approaches to Community Health, which a lot of us know as the REACH grant. So they, all the grant recipients across the U.S. were offered the opportunity to apply for a 1-year non-competitive grant for, and so we did, and so we were successful in that application. It's $171,000 for 1 year, and I'm just going to read from our application. So the primary purpose of the grant, this is called Supplemental Funding, is to coordinate an effective countywide media outreach campaign to improve flu vaccination education, access, and availability among racial and ethnic groups experiencing disparities in Chatham County, Georgia. So that's the essence of it. We're excited to have on the evaluation team, as we do on our big grant, Liz Ann Roberts with CGIC and Virginia Dick with Next Step Evaluation. They've been evaluating our big grants, and they will also be doing the evaluation for this grant. And then the last thing I'm going to say is that I'm really excited. So Nichelle Hoskins has been the Assistant Director for Healthy Savannah for the last almost 2 years. And we're excited to say that she is transitioning into the Health Education Outreach Manager for this grant. And she's so excited to be in that role. And she's going to talk to us about the activities, the outcomes, and our key partners with that. We don't have a presentation because we are barely 6 weeks into learning things. So with that, Nichelle, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Good morning, everybody. So good to see everyone, and folks that I don't get a chance to see very often. Hey, Ms. Gina. Hey, Ms. Tammy. Yeah, so I am definitely so excited about this new role, and just wanted to give you a brief overview or preview of what we will be doing in the next year. So as Paula said, the main goal of the supplemental funding is to coordinate a county-wide outreach campaign and to improve flu education, access, and availability in low-wealth African-American communities right here in Chatham County. Our focus will be people 65 years old or older, as well as people of all ages who suffer from or live with chronic conditions that would exacerbate their vulnerability to the seasonal flu. And I want to emphasize this, we are talking about the seasonal flu here. There will be opportunities to talk about COVID as we educate both the community and healthcare providers. The idea is to bring them together. Primarily, this is about preventing the season. So I just want to summarize a few of the things that we will be doing. Again, speaking of disseminating information, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, already has a lot of materials, and we're going to start by using some of those. And those materials have been developed over time by other organizations that have done this. So it's a matter of getting their successful materials and starting there. Then our next move will be to coordinate additional community-based and culturally appropriate communication in association with the Chatham County Health Department. And we want to, in those communications, we want to address not only the justifiable distrust of flu vaccine, but also some of the myths that are driving people to decide not to get the shot. And we will be partnering, another thing we'll be doing, we'll be partnering with health and vaccination providers, helping them to know the barriers and to have the tools to address them as they are communicating with their patients. To me, it is very important for this communication to be two-way, because I think a person who's reluctant to get vaccinated often is told, well, you should do it, and not told, you know, the risks of not doing it, and not told when they are in fact not candidates to get this vaccination. We'll be training a cadre of community ambassadors, such as faith-based leaders, community health workers, folks at barbershops and salons, radio DJs, and others. Basically, we want to get to where the people are, and we want to help train already trusted voices to talk about the flu vaccine. We'll be developing educational events concentrating on the National Influenza Vaccination Week, which is December 6th through 12th. Now, December 6th is my sister's birthday, so I'm just like, and it's a big birthday. I'm not going to tell you how old she is, so just keep that in mind, December 6th. We'll be expanding linkages between community and vaccination providers to increase the number of opportunities. So we know that we have available vaccine. We know there are people out there who want and need it. So we just want to increase the contact that they can get. Entry points is how I think about them. We're going to increase temporary and mobile flu vaccination sites in areas experiencing unfair and unjust health inequities. And so those are among the things, those are our intended outcomes. And we hope to partner with several organizations locally, and they include, of course, the Chatham County Health Department, hospitals, federally qualified health centers, community health centers, faith-based organizations, local colleges and universities, as well as Black fraternities and sororities. So that's the preview of what we're doing. And if you have any questions for either Paula or I, please let me know.
So there are two questions.
Okay, Lizanne.
There are two questions in the chat box, Michelle. One question is from James Aberson, and he wants to understand more about what does justifiable mistrust mean.
I'm glad you asked. When I talk to people, African Americans who don't want the shot, oftentimes they cite the Tuskegee Institute, the experiments, and other travesties of the medical system that have ignored African Americans, and so that is why. That's what I mean by justifiable.
And then the second
question. Does that answer your question?
James can put it in the chat box if he wants to have further explanation. The second question is from Chiquita Thompson, and it is, what's the startup date?
Well, the date of the grant, the grant started was October 1, so we're there. We end on the 29th of September next year.
And I would just add that we obviously this very tight window for the application and the approval that we, again, it was I think a week ago that we had official confirmation that everything that we were doing was approved. So Nichelle and I are going to be working in detail on the work plan activities over we're going to do this right after this call. We're going to basically spending the day together to detail out the activities. So look for one or both of us to be reaching out to a lot of y'all that are on the call today to help develop out some of the specifics as we go forward. A lot of it'll be big picture, like focus groups and listening sessions in the beginning. And then moving on to, you know, like Nichelle said, we definitely want to work with our partners on maybe some pop-up clinics in key geographic neighborhoods and things like that.
And I'll be looking for innovative ways to reach people. And just to back up a bit, we're also going to ask about previous flu prevention campaigns, see what worked about, you know, in those, what didn't work, and use that as one of the guides. Any other
questions?
Oh.
So we need to, okay, here we go.
Nichelle and Paula, great. Congratulations on the grant. After you do your big picture, are you hoping to get proposals or from us or from other partners in writing, kind of a plan to address what you're hoping to set up?
I'll just grab that quickly. Yes, Tom, we will we will have MOAs. Again, those will have yet to be developed, but they will follow the work plan activity. But it'll be exciting to have Savannah Tech as part of our plan for sure. So, but yes, look for those because the budget and the work plan, then come the MOAs after that, the memorandum of agreement. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And one other just bit of information, and I know I've said this at the health team meeting, but the interesting thing is that these funds were only, some of you may go, well, this is not really a purview of Healthy Savannah or the Y, and you would be right. But here's the deal, if you have the grant for nutrition, physical activity, and CCL, and they made it available only to the REACH grant recipients. And so if we didn't apply for it, the funds would not have, the resources wouldn't have come to Chatham County at all. So I just, you know, we all felt, the team felt it was absolutely the right thing to do to put in our application and bring these resources in. So we'll be depending heavily on those that know more about flu prevention than we do. I will just say that. So we're excited to be able to make that connection.
And yeah, Paula, I'll underscore what you said in the beginning. You know, in many ways, this is not in our wheelhouse, but from 35,000 feet, it is policy, systems, and environmental change, especially when we take into consideration the education component. And and when I think of education, I think of not just teaching people what we want medical folks doctors want them to know, but teaching them to feel comfortable exchanging and asking questions and that kind of thing. So that was just my addition.
Cool.
So in the chat box, Tammy Brown said flu vaccination is a major state initiative this flu season. The Chatham County Health Department is excited to work with you. So we know we need to get off to a quick start on this, and we thank Paula and Nichelle for coming on board this morning to give us some preliminary information. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We're going to move along to the next part of this because we're running a little bit behind, and I want to make sure we have adequate time for everyone this morning so that we can get off on our regular time. So moving along, you see in the agenda, if you could bring that back up. Rachel. I'm gonna move along while Rachel's pulling that back up. We have the economy, education, and health and quality of life meetings that are coming up. What's happening in those meetings is on the second page of your agenda. There's a synopsis of each of those meetings there. I do want to thank all the co-chairs of those meetings. Our next economy team meeting is Tuesday, November 10th. The education team meeting is November 3rd. 9 a.m. and then the health team meeting is coming up on October 15th at 9 a.m. and quality of life is November 4th at 9 a.m. If you are currently not participating in one of those and would like to be added to that, please put your name and which priority team that you'd like to be added to in the chat feature. I'm going to open up the floor right now for any partner highlights. So if you have a partner highlight, please, please unmute yourself, and Rachel, take that back down, please, so I can see more faces.
Hi, this is Chiquita Thompson from the Mediation Center, and I'd just like to let you all know that we are hosting a raising consciousness about unconscious bias training October the 30th. It will be with inclusion and diversity expert Deborah Nelson, who has been the diversity and inclusion CEO for MGM Resorts and Daimler Chrysler. And currently she is the president of Elevate Communications. And we're looking for co-sponsors. So if you are interested in your agency co-sponsoring this event, space is limited because she wants it to be interactive, but we want to try to get this out so that we can open the doors for individuals who may want to participate as well. So if you're interested, just hit me up in the chat box and I will email you the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiquita. Okay, I see a hand raised. Cindy?
Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to announce that for the first time ever, our agency has received funding for a collaborative effort between the city and the county and multiple other smaller organizations to look at the issue of panhandling and begin to address it in a way that helps the community understand about how the residents might benefit from a campaign where folks have opportunities to give in a different way. We also have some funds for better coordination of services and goods. We learned some things during the COVID situation, especially in the first 4 to 6 weeks. And we have a large group of folks that are very connected to our continuum of care, and then a large group of folks that are not. And the folks that are not could have really benefited from some coordination. So watch for a campaign sometime, probably after the holidays, people around the issue of panhandling, what to do. And we are just going out for bids now, so we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Gina, you're unmuted. Do you have an announcement?
Yes, and Cindy, you'll be glad to hear this as well. Just want to announce that we did receive our award for the Runaway Homeless Youth Program. Yay! And that's for youth ages 12 through 17 that will be served through the emergency shelter here on campus. So we are excited about being able to serve this population and provide those services not only to the youth, but also we'll be providing some home-based services to those parents as well. But you'll hear a whole lot more about it later. We'll send you more information about it. Thank you, Cindy, for your support on that also.
That's great news, Gina. Thank you. Any other announcements?
I'm driving. This is Brandon Gaffney from J.C. Lewis Primary Health Center. Just want to let everybody know that we are close to finishing our new site, which is 5 Mall Way, right next to the Chatham County Public Library on the Oglethorpe Mall complex. It's been a long time coming. 2 architects and 2 contractors later, but we had to do it till we got it right. But we probably won't have a grand opening until another 45 days. Furniture. Due to COVID, furniture is backed up in regards to fulfilling orders. So we're getting some in about 3 weeks and another 40% of it in about 6 weeks. So that's what the holdup is. But we've started to move dental already. They should be providing services starting this coming Monday at 8 a.m. So please stay tuned. As soon as we get the actual grand opening, probably have to do a little different because of trying to keep social distancing as much as possible. But please stay tuned for details for the grand opening.
Great. Thank you. Reggie, and then Patricia Merritt, and then I've got to take back over at that point. Reggie? I can't hear you. You're unmuted, but I don't hear your voice. Still don't hear it. You may want to put it in the chat feature. Patricia, did you have something?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I just wanted to let everybody know that we will be celebrating the Front Porch's 2nd year anniversary starting the week of October 19th. We're very excited about that. The Front Porch is located at 2203 Abercorn Street. Brenda Davis is the interim director. And if you would like to have a tour, if you haven't been there, if you could reach out to either myself or Ms. Davis, and we'll be happy to schedule a tour and give you some information regarding the Front Porch. Also, I wanted to let you know that we're exploring a human trafficking treatment court here at the juvenile court. We've named that court Hope Court. We're excited about that. Judge Formey is leading that effort. We're interested in addressing the needs of children and families through this treatment court. So our first stakeholders meeting is scheduled for next week, and you'll hear more regarding that treatment court coming up real soon. So just wanted to give you those updates.
Thank you. I've got room for maybe one more before I need to make a couple of announcements. Going once, going twice. Okay.
Get your flu shot.
James, say again.
I said, get your flu shot. I got mine yesterday.
Okay. Good encouragement for us all. I agree. I'm getting mine soon too as well. Okay, Rachel, don't pull it back up because it'll take a minute. I just wanted to give you a quick director's report. So over the course of the last 2 months, we've had a lot of activity with CGIC. There's been the TIES Symposium. This was the first trauma-informed education symposium that I worked with our school system and Georgia Southern to produce. That happened in August, and then I'm working with one of the interns that's working with us is working with CETA on a good corporate citizen nonprofit database. So we'll be sharing that with all of you. We've been working to bring back the brain trauma and resilience training and secondary trauma stress. Those dates are out in October 16th, 23rd, and 30th. That will be going out to everyone. we've been working on the 2020-2021 Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Culture of Health Prize. We've been working with the Regional Community Collaborative on their monthly meetings, the Mental Health Symposium panel on first responders and different agencies, and then working on the Resilient Georgia Patulic Foundation grant. As you may know, the REAL task force has launched. Dr. Johnson is, I think, maybe still on, and we're working to help define some data with that organization and task force. We completed our self-evaluation with Georgia Family Connection Partnership. We participated in the task force for the superintendent's reopening. I want to let you know, if you've not heard, that the 2020 census has been extended through October 31st. We had an event this past Monday that we were connected with at the West Broad Street Y. There were 104 people that we connected with at that event who had not been counted. They had not completed their 2020 census. So if you can, please just make sure that folks that you come in contact with, that you ask them if they've completed it, and if they have not, please ask them to. We all know how important the census is, and we want to make sure that we have a strong finish through October 31st. We have the opportunity to have a grant planning workshop. Dr. Telfair, who was on the call earlier, has offered that time. I'll be sending those dates out to you. We want to have 2 consecutive Fridays that we would have half-day workshops on each of those days. We would have one portion of the grant planning workshop on one day, and then the second portion on the following Friday. The dates are the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th, and we want to make sure that we make best use of those. Finally, we're going to be working with the City of Savannah on a Smart Cities grant that they've received through Georgia Tech. And then if you haven't seen the Beacon, I wrote an article for the Beacon, which is an insert of the Savannah Morning News. It was published recently, and it was mostly talking about all of you and the great work that we get to do together, and about the power of partnership and what that means for our community. And CGIC wouldn't exist without all of you, and we're so very grateful for all the work that we get to do with you to make improvements in our community that are long lasting. So with that, we're right at time. I want to thank you for your time. If you have any questions of me on the information I just shared, please stay on. I didn't see any nominations for the board of directors. If you have a nomination, if you would please either put it in the chat box or either email it to me. Again, we're looking for someone who can commit to meeting 6 times in a year, and who would also represent our general membership. So thank you for your time this morning. If you have any questions, please stay on and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks, everybody.